piece of this stuff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Let's bring a friend of mine in. Pat Burrell. Pat, how are you today?
Bill, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be on with you.
Giants fans, this is Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And he powered a 98-mile-an-hour fastball by him to put an end to it. So put an end to this game, a Giants victory, and to this losing streak. The Giants had lost 7 in a row before beating the Rays 7-1 back of Logan Webb.
Welcome into a Sunday extra inning post-game show in front of 38,876. The San Francisco Giants break a 7-game losing streak, and what a game it was. For 5 innings, Ryan Pepio and Logan Webb put zeros on the board until the Giants scored 4 runs with a 2-out rally in the 6th inning. Ramos, Devers get base hit. Adames on 4 straight takes a walk, bases loaded. On the first pitch, Dominic Smith saw a fastball in, breaks his bat, hits a ball down the right field line, and what a heads-up play by Willie Adames, scoring all the way from first base. As Hang Sang Kim didn't know what was going on. He held onto the ball at second base, and it was just too late of a throw. And Kim was tardy, and Adames scores, and the Giants scored 3 runs. Right after that, Christian Koss gets a base hit. Smith scores. The Giants all of a sudden had a 4-0 lead, and it was enough for another starting pitcher, Logan Webb. After yesterday, Justin Verlander threw 7 shutout. Logan Webb comes right back and throws 7 shutout, giving up 3 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. And the San Francisco Giants finally get a win, losing 7 in a row. And today they end that losing streak, winning 7-1, getting their 60th win on the year. And it just didn't go from there after the 6th inning. In the 7th inning, Drew Gilbert gets a 1-1 fastball, and he hits his first home run, major league home run in a right field. And it follows up with Tyler Fitzgerald, back-to-back home runs. His 4th, he gets a 1-2 cutter that was up, and he hits that ball to left field, 398 feet, back-to-back home runs. The Giants were up 6-0. The Rays score 1 in the 8th, and in the bottom of the 8th inning, Patrick Bailey gets a base hit, a wild pitch, and there he was again, Drew Gilbert getting a solid base hit to right field to get his 2nd RBI. 2 fantastic at-bats by Drew Gilbert, giving him a little confidence going in. He was 1 for 19 coming into today's game. And the smile on his face, the jubilation in that dugout, it was high fives, and everybody was smiling. And this is what we as Giants fans were waiting for, a win. It was a tough homestand of 9 games. They won last Friday, lost 7 in a row, and now they win today. And on to San Diego with a 4-game series starting tomorrow in San Diego, where Robbie Ray will get the first start, first pitch right here at 6:40. But this game was close for 5 innings. Logan Webb was dialed in. What he did today, 7 strikeouts, 3 by fastballs, 1 by a sweeper, and 3 by changeups. He was really on point with Patrick Bailey today. They were really nailed in first pitch strikes, 17 first pitch strikes out of 24 hitters. And a stat came up that he was leading in that in first pitch strikes 70% of the time he throws first pitch strikes. And that's one of the things I always talk about is getting ahead of hitters. You always hear this. It's difficult to do. Sometimes he got ambushed by the first pitch, but today the Rays just couldn't do anything against him. He gave up a solid base hit in the 2nd inning and a great catch in center field. And it was just one of those plays that you look at over and over, and you don't know how Jung Hoo Lee catches this ball, and he caught it between his knees as the ball was tailing out to Triple's alley. It hit his glove, and it was falling through it. As he was falling down, he caught it between his knees. A sensational catch. As he stood up, he got the ball between his knees, and Drew Gilbert was looking at him with a smile with his hands up. A phenomenal catch, one of the best catches we've seen at Oracle Park, and that just preluded right into what Logan Webb was doing all day. He was getting people out. He gave up a base hit in the 5th. He gave a base hit in the 7th, but nothing even got to second base. He was doing so well in his mound visits today. I mean, he was dialed in with, I said, 86 pitches, 63 for strikes. So this is what the Giants needed. They got that start yesterday by Justin Verlander, who went 7 innings, giving up only 2 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. It was so similar to what Logan Webb did today. Both of them turned in 2 fantastic outings. The offense showed up today, scoring 7 runs on 11 hits. So this is what they needed. They needed to get a smile on their face. They needed to get a little momentum going into a very tough road trip where they're playing 4 games in San Diego and 3 against Milwaukee. Both these teams, San Diego and Milwaukee, are in the hunt. Of course, Milwaukee's in first place. San Diego dropped 3 games to the Dodgers. So this is what's happening right in front of us. But this is the time of the year where you got to play better baseball. We were waiting for this moment. They lost yesterday in a tough game 2-1. And those are the things you start thinking about, how those losses could have been one more hit here, one more play here, and they won. But it just didn't happen, and the Giants were right behind these hurdles. They just couldn't jump over one to get a win in 9 innings. But today, the smiles were there, the high fives were there, as I said, and the Giants walk away with a 7-1 win, winning their 60th game on the year. 38 games left to see if they can jump back in this wild card race, but they have to play games like they did today and generate some of the momentum on the offense, and they did it. Have a 2-out rally in that 6th inning, a big hit by Dominic Smith. And when you look at what Dominic Smith's been doing lately, some of the numbers are just really, really solid for him. Hitting safely in 18 out of 19 games. 18 times he's been on base with a hit in the last 19 games, going 22 for 65. 22 hits for 65 at bats. That's a little over 335. He's been hitting in the 4th spot. Today he was in the 5th spot, but he drove in those runs. He got the ball in play, and that's one thing he does. He makes good contact, hitting 335, 8 runs. He scored 4 doubles, 13 RBIs in those 19 games. So a good solid start by Dominic Smith, and he has been consistent. Going back to Jung Hoo Lee, he was 1 for 4 with a double today. He's got 28 doubles on the season. He's got 10 triples, 28 doubles. He needs 2 more to get to 30. And you ask me why, and there's a club here with the Giants, 10 triples and 30 doubles, and there's 4 players that have done it. Willie Mays did it in 1958. Bobby Bonds did it in 1970. Gary Maddox did it in 1973, and Angel Pagan did it in 2012. So 2 more doubles, and Jung Hoo Lee can join that club of 10 triples and 30 doubles. Oh, by the way, Jung Hoo Lee has been hit safely in 14 out of 15 games. I couldn't believe when I saw Jung Hoo Lee leading off today. I was so happy about it. Of course, last night we talked about it. We've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. Get him in that leadoff spot and pushed everybody down one, and I thought that was a great move by Bob Melvin. All right, 415-808-KNBR. If you want to get on the phone lines, let's talk some Giants baseball. Got a couple great interviews coming up. I sat down with Pat Burrell the other day to talk about hitting and some of the things that he's trying to do and what the hitters are trying to feel out here in the slump they've been in. You'll want to hear that interview. And then the other one is Thomas Gavello. Thomas Gavello has been through the minor leagues. He's now playing in AAA. Of course, he was born in Antioch. He lived in Danville, grew up in Danville, ended up going to Pacific University. He was a Tiger there. Really sat down, really educated young man, and spoke extremely well in this interview. And Dave Brundage, who's their manager, was one of them that kind of told me, heads up, this kid can play. He's a second baseman, third baseman, middle of the infield, hit about 340 in Sacramento right now. So I was pleased to catch up with him. And Giants fans, you are going to be really excited with this kid. A good kid all around. Thomas Gavello. We'll have both of those interviews coming up later in the show, but we'll get to the calls, 415-808-KNBR. We'll take a quick break on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on the Sports Leader.
listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
The pitch. Gilbert, it's a high drive. Deep right field. It is gone! Drew Gilbert, his first big league home run. Up onto the arcade. It's 5-0 Giants. And that had to feel good for Drew. Just his second big league hit, and it's a homer. And it was no cheapie.
All right, back on Extra Inning Post-Game Show. A little Tony Bennett singing in the background by Kyle Har, my producer, dropping a little victory song there for all Giants fans listening in as you're leaving the ballpark. 38,876 finally saw a win, and it was a good win by the San Francisco Giants, winning 7-1. Logan Webb, just a fantastic outing, going 7 innings, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. He was on fire. When you break down what he threw today, 86 pitches, 63 for strikes, 32 sinkers, 29 changeups, and what did that get for you? 13 ground balls and 1 fly ball. 13 ground balls. Think about that, and that's what sinkers and changeups and sliders do. But he was perfection today, and that's what the Giants needed. Yesterday we saw Justin Verlander do the same thing, going 7 innings, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts, and he ended up getting 7 ground balls, 7 fly balls, but back-to-back good starts. So now they go on to San Diego, and they got 4-game series down there. Of course, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are all 6:40 starts right here on KNBR. Robbie Ray takes the hill on Monday. Kai Tang hits the mound on Tuesday. Landon Roop on Wednesday, and then Justin Verlander on Thursday. That's the day game at 1:10. Then they travel to Milwaukee, and that's when Logan Webb will take the hill on Friday. So there's your 5 starters in the next 5 games. So we'll see what the Giants do after today, but a lot of things that happen when you build confidence, and you build confidence with Drew Gilbert and Tyler Fitzgerald hitting home runs. That's a big spark if they can get some production out of the lower part of the lineup. All right, got a full board. Let's go to Jack. Jack out of Oakland. What's up, my buddy?
Hey, Bill.
How are you, Jack?
I'm all right. It feels nice to finally win a game.
I hear you there, buddy. What'd you think? Did you like the home runs or did you like the pitching? Which part did you like the most?
I enjoyed the pitching a lot, but I think the home runs were sweet, especially with the bottom of the order.
Yeah, I thought so, same. And, of course, Drew Gilbert, the first home run you hit. And he only had 1 hit. He was 1 for 19 coming into the game with that little bloop hit to left field. That had to make him feel better hitting a home run. But I thought that base hit in the bottom of the 8th inning was a key hit also. What'd you think of that knock, Jack?
That was nice. Just some nice line drives today for Gilbert. And it's just kind of cool to see some production from him where we haven't seen any production.
Jack, I got to ask you, what about that play Jung Hoo Lee made in center field? Was that a fantastic catch?
In all my 13 years of living, that's the greatest catch I've seen.
Right on his knees, right? I mean, it looked like a football player catching that ball, but he kept his eye on it. As you and I always talk about playing baseball, keep your eye on the ball, and you just don't know what you can do when you catch a ball. But that ball was hit so far and so hard, he got a glove on it, but he ended up catching it through his knees. A fantastic catch. What position you play, Jack, when you play?
I play third. I pretty much play everywhere but third and some outfield. I can pitch too.
Yeah, big base at third base. Christian Koss made some nice plays at third base today, filling in for Matt Chapman. What do you think of the hot corner? Balls are coming down there pretty quick at you, aren't they?
It's a tough place to play, especially on the field. Some of the fields I play at with the tough hops. But it's fun because you get a lot
hitting?
of balls.
Do you like to hit, Jack? Do you get up there and rip?
I mean, I'm working on it right now, just trying to get my mechanics down.
That's good. What kind of work do you do? Do you do off tees or do you a little soft toss with your dad?
Well, I have a coach, and we do some soft toss and some tee work.
Yeah, that's good. So what else did you think of the game today? Tell me a little bit about what you saw in Logan Webb.
Well, I saw Webb get a bunch of ground balls, which is classic of his sinker.
Yeah, 13 ground balls. That's a lot, and it's always when you throw sinkers and sliders, it's usually third base and second base where you get most of the work. And I think Kipe was talking about how many balls Tyler Fitzgerald got, and he was classic today. He got down on every ball. The one ball that kind of went out in right field, he tried to juggle it, and he couldn't grab the ball, and then it ended up just throwing it in the infield. That was about the only ball that was tough that he couldn't handle today.
He saved a run, so that was a nice play.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Giants, tell me your forecast for the Giants moving forward, Jack.
Well, I'm really nervous because there's going to be Padres and Brewers. That's tough, especially there's going to be that screaming lady against the Padres. Oh, that's going to be a tough series. A tough road trip
when they came up here. Yeah, San Diego came up here and beat them 3 times, and so far they've beat them 7 out of 9 games. These are the last 4 games they do play against the Padres. So if they can go in there and go 2-2 and 3-4, something of that, that's a great start. But Jack, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. Thanks for calling in, and you and your family have a good rest of this Sunday, okay?
You too. Oh, yeah, I'm reading the book called The Franchise by Alex Pavlovich.
Beautiful. That's a great book.
Good.
Yeah, he wrote about me in one of those chapters. I gotta read it. I got the book. I haven't had a chance, but I'll catch up with that. But Jack, thanks again for the call. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to my buddy Andrea. Andrea, following up Jack, that's a tough call.
Yeah, we got to add 50 years to never see a catch like that.
That was something else, wasn't it, Andrea? It was a good play and 2 good outings by Verlander and Webb as starting rotation. And today, the Giants ended up getting a rally with 2 outs in that 6th inning, and it sparked this whole lineup.
Yes, we got a Sunday Fun Day, and apparently it was a band T-shirt day as well. And Sergio Romo rocked a Grateful Dead T-shirt, brought some good mojo. And speaking of which, I was at the Grateful Dead night at the Giants game on Tuesday night, and it was a really good vibe. It was a really good crowd. I saw the cheering section for Jung Hoo Lee, and nice to see him batting leadoff. And that catch was amazing.
I've been trying to push that on a lot of my calls and a lot of my shows. I just think he's the perfect leadoff hitter. Plus, he's on a hot streak right now. 14 hits in 15 games. This is what we want to see out of him. Put the ball in play. Don't try to hit home runs. And today he had a nice double leading off the game and had a couple of routine fly balls to the left, but he's making good contact, and I think that's the key of a leadoff hitter.
Yes, and nice cusp of his birthday gift, August 20th, 1998. So his birthday's coming up in 3 days, and that was just an amazing
catch. Well, Elliot Ramos had his first bobblehead today. The bobblehead looked pretty cool. That's a cool thing for any player to get. And, you know, when you see 38,000 people come to the ballpark, that's a nice start right there. Of course, they gave out bobbleheads that are 20,000 of them. But, you know, anytime a player gets that, it's honoring. It's honoring them as a Giant. It's honoring them as a player. And a young player like Elliott had a smile on his face pretty much all day today, and he had a pretty good game. He was on base 2 out of 4 times.
Yeah, that was cute. His daughter threw out the first pitch. That was, you know, the Giants do really nice things with things like that. So that was very heartening to see. And speaking of which, Drew Gilbert's first home run may be the first of many. That was nice. September 27, 2000's his birthday. So he's got plenty of time to get more home runs. But that was really,
young kid.
Nice
I think the base hit in that 8th inning really drew a lot of attention to him. He really went down and got that ball and hit it to right field for an RBI. Those are the key hits. And just like Jack, the last caller was saying, the bottom of the order performed today with the home runs by Gilbert and Fitzgerald and a nice base hit by Gilbert. You got to get some production from that bottom of the order.
Yes, and, you know, it's pitching, defense, getting some timely hitting. And Logan Webb, I'll tell you, Scorpios are good in a crisis. We weren't in a crisis per se, but November 18, 96, like his last 21 starts were at least 7 innings. I mean, that's the most in MLB since 2021.
I like the stat they threw out there, Andrea. 70% of his first pitches are strikes. I think that's a key point. it helps them, but then it hurts them when other teams are up there, really looking at that first pitch to see if they can put it in play. The Dodgers did that to him. The Padres did that to him. And sometimes it's great to get ahead of hitters, but sometimes you got to edge them and maybe throw a ball in there before some of these teams try to ambush you on the first pitch.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it was just nice to see him with another quality start, and he's dependable in that way, and get a win. And we did get the Sunday Fun Day, and it was band T-shirt day. The planets aligned, and it was just really nice to get that much needed win and get some momentum.
I'm all for it, Andrea. Thank you for the call today. Have a great rest of the Sunday. It's a beautiful Sunday here in Northern California, and thanks for calling. I appreciate your time. Let's go to Mitchell. He's in New Jersey. Mitchell, you're on an extra inning postgame show on a Sunday afternoon. Giants get a win, and they break that 7-game losing streak. What do you think?
It's about time. How you doing, Bill? And
after a win, I've had a win all week, so it's been tough doing postgame shows, but today I got a lot to brag about, so it's a good day.
The sun shines. Glad they finally hit for Webb. Glad Gilbert finally got his home run. Do you think they can start bringing up the youth to see what we have in the AA and AAA? There's another one in your opinion. And one more thing, this goes out to Jack. Hopefully you get a baseball scholarship to Cal, even though that's ACC territory now. Thanks again.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that, Mitchell. And you're absolutely right. Get some of this young talent coming up there and hitting the ball. And I think that's one of the reasons why Drew Gilbert's still in the big leagues, 1 for 19, striking out a lot. But everybody throwing off speed, everybody throwing secondary pitches, and finally he caught a fastball by Mason Engel and hit it. He didn't miss it. That was 385 feet for his first home run, and it was a good home run. It was a good start for him, and breaking the ice, and then that base hit I keep talking about in the bottom of the 8th inning was a key hit for him. Other than that, I thought the Giants played good defense today. Great pitching by Logan Webb. I keep talking about 13 ground balls from a sinker baller, and those are all key points. But thanks for the call, Mitchell. Let's go to Dixon and talk to Jim. Jim, you're on an extra inning post-game show. What'd you think of the game today?
Fantastic game, Bill. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And Webb, oh my gosh. If anybody is questioning whether he's our ace or not, well, he proved it today. He just went out there and pitched, and no support for a long time. Just went out and pitched every inning, did what he did, had a game plan, and I'm just so proud of him and so glad we have him. And I think we're going to have him for a lot of years.
Oh, for sure. But, Jim, it wasn't an easy game. When you look at it, 5 innings, both of these pitchers were dialed in. When you look at what Pepio did, he had 8 punch-outs through 5 innings. He had one time after Jung Hoo Lee got the double, 9 up, 9 down with 6 strikeouts. They couldn't get to him until that 6th inning when 2 outs were there. And then Ramos gets a base hit. Devers gets a base hit. And then he got a little rattled because he walked Adames on 4 straight pitches. And I thought right then and there, it was really good. And the other thing, Jim, was I was seeing if Dominic was going to go after that first pitch because he had to throw a strike. He had bases loaded, and Dominic hit that ball down and in, broke his bat right down the right field line. And what a play by Adames from the heads-up running he did.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Home run Friday. I've been kind of tough on Adames because he strikes out, and sometimes he strikes out by a foot. He misses that ball by a lot.
He does.
But, he does spark. That was our 3rd run. So that was a big run. So, you can't get 2 because they get whatever can happen.
Right.
So that 3rd run was huge, allows Smith to go to second, and then boom, base hit, we're up 4. So, but my question is,
Christian Koss, Jim, is really making a mark here. He's filling in at second, he's filling in at 3rd, getting base hits, 2 for 4 again today, making good contact, and I thought he played a very good third base today. A couple balls right in the sun that he had to, take the glove and kind of go behind the eyes to watch it. It's a tough field out there in the midday with that sun.
He just doesn't look like a big league ball player. But, he's amazing. So what do we do with the fifth starter spot? I know we got it lined up with Tang this week, and in the long run, or what? Like, can Roop go? You're the expert on this. Can Roop?
I really would like to see
pitching?
Tidwell come up. That's the guy I really want to see, Blade Tidwell. I interviewed him yesterday on the postgame show, and he's thrown 3 really good games in AAA. He's throwing 98, 99, a couple great secondary pitches. And
But he was from the Mets, right? We got him for Rogers.
He was the one that came over for Tyler Rogers. He did get some opportunities with the Mets in the big leagues. He gave up some runs, but he got out there, and he threw 5 games, and he threw pretty well. Nothing major, but gave up a couple runs, gave up a couple home runs, got a win against Milwaukee. And I think he would fit in that 5th spot if Kaiwei Tang has a tough outing. And I think that could be the next move. If Kaiwei Tang struggles again against San Diego, they may do a flip-flop. That's my opinion, of course. But I would like to see him get an opportunity up here. He's got good stuff.
And what about Roop's pitch, or like number of pitches or starts he can make this year? Is he on?
Well, that's the biggest
count,
thing. Coming off the IL, he threw 50 pitches in Sacramento. He said he felt fine, gave up 3 doubles, 1 run. His last outing, he went 3 innings. In that 4th inning, his numbers went down. The fastball went down almost 5 miles. The breaking ball started getting flat. So I don't know if his arm strength is good enough or long enough to go 80 pitches. 66 pitches, probably the last 10 pitches were not Landon Roop kind of pitches. He wasn't snapping a ball. The balls were flat. So they definitely have to watch out for that. He says his arm's okay, and that's the big thing. As long as there's no soreness or stiffness, they're going to throw him out there. He was dialed in so good before he got hurt. Man, he was one of the best starters they had consistently. Love to see if he could bounce back. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, and go Giants.
Jim, it's a pleasure. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to take a quick break on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Come back with more calls. I got a few on hold. If you want to call in, 415-808-KNBR. And again, a couple good interviews coming up down the road of the show. I sat down with Pat Burrell, the hitting coach, and Thomas Gavello, a name that I want Giant fans to understand. A local kid, grew up right here in Danville, still lives out here, and is having a good year with Sacramento. Came up from Richmond, and you'll want to hear this interview. He is a good one, and I appreciate his time, and can't wait for Giants fans to get to know Thomas Gavello. That's all coming up later in the show. My name's Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Coming right back here on the Sports Leader.
From the mound to the mic, this is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him by saying to your smart speaker, play KNBR.
Bases loaded. The pitch. Line drive along the right field line. It's falling. Base hit. Ramos in to score. Devers around third. He's in to score. Now the throw goes to second. Breaking for the plate. Here's the throw home. Swing! He beat the throw home. Willie Adames, when the throw went from Mangum into second base, then he just re-accelerated coming around third, and that totally caught the Rays flat-footed, and there was a hesitation, and then the throw home. The throw was a little bit too high, and the foot first slide, and he hit the plate before that tag. Nice fadeaway slide by Willie Adames, as well as the great read and great hustle. That is a 3-run base hit to right for Dom Smith. Just like that, 3-0 Giants.
Back on the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. A great call right there by John Miller about explaining everything, except one thing he left out was Matt Williams waving Adames in. You know, we pick on Matt Williams so many times about some bad calls, but that was a great call by Matt Williams by swinging that arm and getting Willie Adames to look up and go home. And a beautiful slide by Adames. And they scored 3 runs. That happened a long time ago. Kurt Manwaring was the hitter when the Giants did that on a base hit years ago in the late 80s. But, you know, this is something that the Giants needed, some heads-up base running, a key hit. We keep talking about runners in scoring position. That was a key hit by Dominic Smith, and they drove in 3 runs right there. They added 2 more on home runs by Gilbert and Fitzgerald, and added 1 more in the 8th inning by a base hit by Bailey, a wild pitch, and Drew Gilbert getting his 2nd RBI of the game, and the Giants end up winning this game 7-1. They go now to San Diego. 3 6:40 games. Those are at 6:40. That's first pitch right here. Robbie Ray, Kaiwei Tang, and Landon Roop are on the hill for the Giants for those 3. And then Thursday is an afternoon game, 1:10 first pitch. Justin Verlander will be on the hill, and those are the 4 starters for San Diego. Then they play a tough series against the Milwaukee Brewers, and that'll be on next weekend. So I'll be covering Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's post-game show after that Brewers series. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Bob in Los Altos. Bob, you're on an extra inning post-game show. How are you doing, my friend?
Okay. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good. I always like talking on wins. It was a difficult few games here trying to figure out why the Giants weren't hitting. But today, Bob, the hitting shoes were on, and they ended up getting 11 hits.
Well, it's been a long week. I have one answer for you, and I have one question for you.
All right, give me your answer first.
The answer first, when somebody
Yeah.
asked you about why the Ohtani was both in and out, they called it the Ohtani rule when they let it because he pitched and hit. So basically, they made a
Right.
special rule where
Yeah, that was
out,
when he was a DH, right? When he was pitching,
Yeah.
and then he became the designated hitter. You're absolutely right.
Right.
They
So
made that
so they
through
made
a
it
Major
an
League
Ohtani
Baseball
rule
call.
where the other night you said you didn't know why, but it's an Ohtani rule where you can do both. So that's the
Thanks,
answer.
Bob. I appreciate that. You're absolutely right, too. And I ended up checking into that, and I didn't know about it at that time. And a couple questions were asked to me, and I just didn't have the right answer. And I'm glad you cleared that up, Bob. Appreciate that.
Okay, the question I have is, like you and Mike both mentioned, like if they're throwing and say like Webb or some of these guys are throwing split fingers or throwing curveballs, why do they come down when particularly on 0-2 counts and throw something down the middle, and then they're the other teams knocking them to right field or hit a home run, and then the same thing with the hitters. Why I'm sure that the bench or Melvin and all these guys have the same information. Why in the hell don't they? Are these guys stubborn, or they don't get the message, or they don't have the ability to pay attention?
Well, let me take the first one. The 0-2 pitch shouldn't even be in the strike zone. That's a major boo-boo of all pitchers, and sometimes they just feel that they can catch an edge or go right at them if they feel that rhythm's going on the mound. And I think that's what you see a lot of. And a lot of times who's been really been hurt by that is Justin Verlander. He seems that he gives up a lot of balls in the strike zone with 0-2. And that's the kind of pitch where you just throw it out of the zone and try to get a guy to chase. We had an opportunity back when I was pitching when Frank Robinson was our manager, and a lot of our hit pitchers were giving up 0-2 hits, and he put a $50 fine on us, Bob, back in the day, and said anybody gives up an 0-2 strike for a hit, you owe me $50. And boy, it made you think about it. Back in the day in the early 80s, $50 was a lot of money. And Bob, it made you think about what you had to do to throw a ball out of the zone or close to it. And it made you think differently. And I think that's what the whole key was. It wasn't about the $50. He just didn't want you to make mistakes. Now, on the other side, when you were talking about hitters get all this information. You see the eye tablet. They're showing them. Damon Miner's showing them what these pitchers throw, sequences, what kind of pitches they throw, secondary pitches. And it's up to the hitter to realize what to go after. Sometimes they swing out of the zone way too much because they're trying to be aggressive. And I think that's what you see more of, Bob. Why aren't they keeping it in the strike zone? Why aren't they trying to make contact with the pitches that are strikes? Sometimes the aggressiveness, sometimes the adrenaline gets to these hitters.
Along that line, you see, they take too many strike threes called.
Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you. It seems like they're looking for certain pitches today, and they did it again today. A couple of them watched strike three. And go ahead.
If you go back to your $50 comment, when Rosen and came in as general manager, and Sabian was also general manager, I think these guys really kind of kicked ass in the clubhouse. Do you think, not being anti-Melvin, do you think they need somebody who would be more
vocal
tough on these guys?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not in that clubhouse, and I hear a lot of things from players and coaches. There's so many meetings. There is a lot of information highway with these guys. They do prepare these players and pitchers all the time. They have pitchers meeting on hitters. They show what hitters are doing through analytics and what they can do and what they can't do and what they're hot and what they're not hot. You're never going to find, Bob, a screaming manager anymore. You're not going to have that guy tipping over tables and throwing stuff in the clubhouse. The rants that we saw from Earl Weaver back in the day, and even Frank Robinson did it. These guys were big-time motivators, and that's kind of what they did. But the baseball has changed, and Bob, they don't do that. It's more teaching. It's more pluses and minuses and what we can make you better at. And I think that's what we're looking at from these Giants players, especially the young, talented ones, seeing how they make approaches, seeing if they can make a different thought pattern of each at bat or at each pitch. And I think that's the learning curve when you're coming up from the minor leagues to the big leagues, because pitching is so much different at that level.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, thanks for the call. Good stuff right there, and thanks again for your comments about our boy Ohtani. I appreciate that. Let's go to John. He's in South City. John, you're on an extra inning postgame show. Thanks for holding on. What's going on today?
Hey, Bill, how are you, first of all?
I'm doing good after a win. They finally got a W, and the losing streak is over. Now it's going to be a tough task this week, John. This is going to be a tough 7-game series.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right, Bill. And, I thought today's game, they needed that today, Bill. They finally get a win in that losing streak. That was huge today.
Yeah, and it really boils down how Logan Webb kept his composure. And when you're in a 5-inning back-to-back with pitchers, and our pitching coaches used to always say, if he puts up a 0, you got to put up a 0. And you challenge each other off the pitchers. And Ryan Pepio was dealing today. I mean, he had his good stuff going until they finally got to him in that 6th inning after he got 2 outs. And a 2-out rally, right, what they did and how they scored 4 runs was a big plus in my eyes.
Yeah, and I thought the play of the game was Jung Hoo Lee with that amazing catch today, Bill.
What's that? Something
yeah,
else,
I was
John?
That was like a hockey save out there, like a goalie making a save out there in soccer. I mean,
at first, I didn't see the ball. I mean, you couldn't see the ball from the camera angle until when he stood up and the ball was between his knees, and I think everybody was laughing. Even Kipe said, I couldn't see the play. We didn't know how he caught the ball. And then after you saw so many highlights of it, it was a great juggling act by him.
Exactly. And another thing is I also want to give kudos to Drew Gilbert getting his first home run today. How about that?
That was
today,
pretty
Bill?
cool. Yeah,
really
and
awesome,
Fitzgerald coming right back. Tyler Fitzgerald's been having some tough at-bats, and him hitting one and Gilbert hitting one, it gives them a little confidence going into this next series because they're going to have to play. I just don't know when Casey Schmidt will be back. He's taken a couple days off. He got hit in that arm pretty hard, and I was just glad there was no fracture or him going on the IL. So a couple days off here, and it'll be a bad bruise, but man, there's just so many players, don't you think, John? So many Giant players are getting hit, and I don't know why. And it's getting hit on the inside plate. Elliot Ramos was getting drilled, it seemed like, a couple times every series.
Yep.
But you just can't retaliate anymore. It's not like back in when I pitched.
Yeah, it's not like the days when you can't just go back there and head down because it could be a suspension or now these new rules, came into play, I guess.
Well, it was fun, John, protecting your own back in the day. You had to, and you did it, and it was ways to do it where you didn't headhunt or you didn't try to hurt somebody. You put one in their back, or you put it in their rear, or you put them in their thigh, and you just protected your own that way, and that's how you ended up. You hit one of my guys, I'm going to hit one of your guys. And it's usually once you get 2 outs, that's the best way to do it, but sometimes you got to go right after the first hitter coming up.
You're absolutely right, Bill. And then now we approach the series against the Padres. We got a huge series coming up. It's not going to be easy against the Padres. It's not going to be easy against Milwaukee. Milwaukee was on a 14-game winning streak.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, 14 or 15. It was definitely double digits, and the Reds finally beat them today. But they're playing good baseball in Milwaukee. That team is tough, and it's not 1 or 2 hitters. There's 6 or 7 hitters in that lineup that are really hot right now. Logan Webb gets a start in Milwaukee on Friday, so it'll be Logan Webb, Robbie Ray on Friday and Saturday if you keep going to the probables on 5 days.
Yeah, exactly. So, Your key is this week is you have to beat the Padres this week. You have to beat the Padres tomorrow, and maybe put pressure on them. I mean, right? I think we have to put
John,
pressure on the Padres.
this is it. This is the last 4 games they're playing the Padres in the year. They got 38 games left, but they have 4 games left. The Padres are beating them 7 out of 9 games, so they're 7-2 against them, and they're going into San Diego. San Diego plays well at Petco Park, but in the runaround, what they did today, get some confidence from this win, and you just never know what's going to happen. And the first game is going to dictate a lot about this series.
You're absolutely right, Bill. Bill, I appreciated the call, and my brother says hello to you, by the way. He wasn't able to answer you today on the radio today as well.
Well, I appreciate you guys calling in. Thanks, John, and I appreciate your day, and I thank you for your time waiting for me, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate it. Let's go to Eli in Paso Robles. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Giants finally get a win. They have 60 wins now. They're still 4 games under 500. What do you think of the game today, Eli?
I liked it, and also I like Drew Gilbert actually. I kind of pulled up some info on him earlier. Well, a lot of people don't know, I don't think. You want to hear his stat line for AAA in July? His stat line for AAA in July.
I interviewed him last weekend. Yeah. I don't know if you caught that. I did interview him, and he was hitting the hell out of the ball in AAA for Sacramento.
I don't think I did.
That's okay.
Cool, though.
Tell me what you got on him, Eli. Tell me what you got on him.
338 average, 6 home runs in 17 games in Syracuse when he was with the AAA affiliate over there. I thought it was pretty cool, you know what I mean, for him to have that confidence. Because you know how it is. Also, another stat line for you I have. Do you realize the last time the Giants went back-to-back was August 18th of last year?
Yeah, I heard that during the game today. That surprised me a little bit. That was toward the end of August, wasn't it?
Yeah, August 18th of 2024 was the last time we went back-to-back on home runs.
Did you know who did it?
I think it was. I think it was Bailey and.
I'm trying to think myself too, and I'm pretty sure I know one of them, and I'm just trying to look back here. God, I can't think of the names right now. I wrote them down, and I can't find it. Of course, when you're looking for stats on guys, and I'm almost positive it was a left-hand hitter.
I'm sorry, J.R. Encarnacion and Michael Conforto.
Is that right? I knew it was a lefty. I remembered a lefty. I couldn't come up with his name, and it was definitely Conforto.
Yeah, it was.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah, it was Conforto. Yeah. So I mean,
Encarnacion. Isn't that sad though, Eli? When you see what he's done and he's battling all these injuries, and he pulls his hamstring after he hits 2 home runs. He hit the hell out of that ball in Pittsburgh all the way to straight center. I got to meet him one day earlier in the year, and he's like 6'7". He seems like he's so big. Just a big dude, man. And when he comes into the batter's box, guys usually don't challenge him with fastballs. And it's just sad because the kid has really worked his tail off to get better, and the injuries just mounted again this year.
Yeah. I hope he gets healthy exactly for next year. Maybe he could come this year, maybe a little bit later. You know what I mean? Because hamstring injuries are iffy. You know how it is.
I just don't think he'll be back this year. Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to get back. They were saying 4 to 6 weeks. You're not going to rush him in September. And, I'm just hoping that the Giants give him a shot in spring training. I don't know if he'll be on the roster or be a non-roster player, but he's that type of guy Bob Melvin likes as a pinch hitter, a DH from the right side. There's going to be a lot of decisions being made on some of this roster they're going to have in the offseason.
Yeah. And I actually like
Eli, thanks for the call, buddy.
Today.
Thanks for the call, Eli. I got to run. I got a couple more calls coming in, but thank you for your time today, Eli, and some good stats right there. And let's see if your buddy Drew Gilbert stays hot in San Diego.
I hope he does.
All right. Thanks so much for your time. Let's go up to Portland because I got a birthday boy online. Happy birthday to my buddy Greg. How are you?
I'm happy. I got a nice present today.
Yeah, well, happy birthday, my friend. What are you going to do today? You going out for dinner? Are you going to do anything this evening?
I'm barbecuing.
Beautiful.
I got some beer chicken in the Weber.
Okay, you got a little polio, huh? You got a little polio going up there? Yeah, I figure you may have some ribs with it, huh?
No, I got corn, local corn, and a baked potato and some local zucchini. And,
well, did you know that Bob Melvin had a
beer?
meeting today, Greg? Bob Melvin had a meeting before the game today and said, Greg from Portland's birthday today, we got to get him a win, and look what they did for him.
Yeah, and they wore their traditional home cream uniforms. So that
Yeah,
made
I
me
knew
happy,
you'd like
too.
that one. See, they
Oh,
did
yeah,
everything for you. Yeah, you got a happy birthday. So I got to ask you,
Well,
how old are you now, Greg?
I'm 71 today.
Okay, that's even better.
Yep.
I'm so glad you're older than I am.
Hey, I liked you talking about Kurt Manwaring. I remember him. He was a real giant. He was a good one, and
He was a good catcher. He really was a good catcher.
he was. He was. And
1988. That was the last time the Giants had a player to hit a base hit and scored 3 runs.
Well, I'm
about
watching
that?
it. That was amazing, and you were right. Give Matt Williams some credit because that was heads up play, which the Giants have been absent of, where they caught him napping. They caught him napping.
Yeah, Ha-Seng Kim had his back toward home plate. And
Yeah.
you and I both
Yeah,
talked
very
about base
unusual.
running. He caught the
Yeah.
ball, and I don't think he even thought about Adames scoring, and he just kept rolling. And that's where Matt Williams, he was right down the line watching the whole play. The ball came back into second base, and Adames, and that was a beautiful slide he had, too, at home.
Yeah, Kim's a good ball player. It was fortuitous. That was quite something, catching him like that. So anyway, I just wanted to call
thought that was a good
relieved.
game to break the streak, and I just look at it this way. You got a 7-game losing streak. It's getting tighter. The pressure's there. The pressure from the players. You don't have any music blasting in the clubhouse. There's no fun times. And today they needed that to get on that plane with some smiles on their face and go on this road trip. It's going to be a tough road trip for them, and they know it. There's no question. But if they can come out of this road trip with a winning road trip against San Diego and Milwaukee, you know what? The tide isn't dead yet. You just got to keep riding those waves, and hopefully it goes their way. And today was a good start.
Well, we'll see. It's a tall order. They're playing 2 of the best teams in baseball right now, and they are frankly not. And we'll see what happens. I'm thankful, happy to have enjoyed today's game, and
well, enjoy your birthday. That's one thing, Greg. Enjoy your birthday with a win, and we'll see what the Giants do on this road trip. But it's always a pleasure catching up with you, and have a good day today, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks again. Okay, go Giants.
All right, Greg. Take care. Yep. All right, that's a lot of calls today once again, and I appreciate all the Giants fans ringing in, and it was a good win. The Giants needed something to boost their energy, boost their morale, and today definitely did it. A couple home run balls, of course, by Drew Gilbert hitting his first Major League home run. That was in the 7th inning, a 1-1 fastball. He didn't miss it. Hit it 385 feet out to right field. Thought it was going to go in the cove, but it didn't make it that far. And right after him, a 1-2 cutter, Tyler Fitzgerald didn't miss, about belt high, and he hit his 4th home run, and that was 398 feet. So good baseball all around for the Giants, good defense, good base running, and you got to put that frosting on the cake with Logan Webb, winning his 11th game of the season, going 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. So all around a good game for the San Francisco Giants as they win their 60th game of the year. 38 games left. So coming up next, I sat down with Pat Burrell, asked him some good questions about hitting, got a little bit about his past, talked a lot about his hitting coaches that he came up with. That's going to come up next. Pat Burrell and I talking right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show on the Sports Leader. Did you ever think you could become a big league baseball player? Well, now you can. Come to Big League Coaching Fantasy Camp. It's January 11th through January 17th, 2026 in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Our host hotel is the Marriott Suites for the week. Come play with the great coaches, Joe Youngblood, Shooty Babbitt, Tim Flannery, Scott Garrelts, Mark Davis. Go to bigleaguecoaching.org and sign up today. Become a big leaguer.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. I'm honored to bring a good friend of mine on. You hear him on my open. Let's bring in the hitting coach for the San Francisco Giants, Pat Burrell. Pat, how are you today?
Bill, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I want to talk about your career a little bit. 12 years in Major League Baseball, 2 World Series championships. You know, when you look at this, you know, the lines, 292 home runs, 299 doubles. What do you think when you go back into your career, what kind of hitter you were?
Oh, you know what? This is so funny you bring this up because I was talking to Casey Schmidt about this, and he's going through a little bit of this period right now where he's hitting some balls hard. He's having some good at-bats. He's not getting any results, right? And so I said to him, I said, look, no matter what, when you get done playing this game, everybody I've ever played with or talked to, any hitter that I know, they look back and they always say the same thing: I should have been better. You know? And so that being said, you got to take these at bats as positives. When you line out and you hit balls good, you stick with your plan, so forth and so on. And it's interesting because, you look back and, you see some of these numbers and sure, you feel good about your career, but you always think, deep down, God, I should have been better. You should
Isn't
have
that
been
true,
better.
though? It's true in every position, as a pitcher, a catcher, infielder. I could have been better on defense. I could have hit the ball better here. And at certain
Yes.
times, there was probably a lot of times when you came up with runners in scoring position, I go, why did I pop up? Why did I swing at that? We always
Why did
recollect
I
our
take the
thoughts.
called third strike?
Yeah, there
Exactly.
you go.
All of it. And that's the thing about this role that that I'm in here now with the San Francisco Giants as the hitting coach is, you can't have a short memory. You have to, be honest enough, with yourself about, what you did in your career and the struggles that we've all had and getting through these things and going through tough times. And really, we talk a lot about, if you play long enough, you suffer. And you suffer for a period of time. So we can't forget that when we're in these roles, when we're trying to be some guidance for these guys. We got to have some compassion for them. But at the end of the day, it's about going out there and getting it done.
Pat Burrell joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. I want to go back in your years, like I said, 12 years. I want to talk about a couple managers you had: Terry Francona, Larry Boa, Charlie Manuel, Joe Madden, and of course Bruce Bochy. When you're looking at all these leaders that you had, what's the common knowledge of all of them?
You know what? I think if you know all these guys like you do, there's some polar opposites in there amongst the groups, right? I mean, Terry Francona was my first manager. He was fantastic. A player's manager. We were sad to see him go, but happy for him to get other opportunities, of course. And then Larry Boa came in and was fiery and, a roller coaster of emotions type manager who knew so much about baseball, was so ahead of the game, knew every facet of it, was prepared, expected a lot, obviously. And I learned so much from Larry about preparation, about mindset, about mentality, about what it takes to be successful, really. And then, Charlie Manuel comes in and he's more like Francona in the sense that, he's a pretty low key guy, has a lot of fun with the players, was an excellent hitting coach in his own right.
Right.
And then you go down to Tampa and you, and with Joe Madden and, kind of being introduced to the analytics at that point. He was the first manager that I had that explained to me that, I had some reverse splits at times against lefties and wasn't going to play against them. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm a right-handed power hitter. I'm not playing against left-handed pitching. That seems odd to me. But, this is how the game, has changed over the years, right? And that was my introduction to that. And then obviously coming back to the Bay Area with Bochy was just a dream. Managed a lot on feel, had a really good understanding of his players and what they were capable of, and found ways to put guys in the best spots for them to succeed, and did it with a very calm demeanor. And so, Bochy's, definitely the favorite for me as far as playing for.
Pat Burrell joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. I went back in time here and I looked at hitting coaches you had, and some good hitting coaches. Hal McRae being one, of course, with the Kansas City Royals. Richie Hebner, a whole different kind of style. Greg Gross and Milt Thompson. A couple of them that I'm kind of questioning, especially Milt Thompson trying to teach Pat Burrell how to hit. That's a big question mark in my head. But tell me a little bit about a couple of these young guys that you had when you were growing up.
It all makes a lot of sense, when you think about the teams and where they are at those times, right? I mean, I got called up and Francona had Hal McRae there, and Hal was so good, such a good player. He had 13 guys hanging on everything he said. I mean, he knew the game, he understood it, he could predict it. He could anticipate what was going to happen, how we were going to be pitched. He had a real knack for it. And we associate that with his, 20 plus years of playing. And so he was a dream to be around, and, gave me a lot of great information. Now, unfortunately, that year, we didn't perform. And so that staff got replaced. And then Richie Hebner came in for a year, and what a fun guy, the grave digger, right? I mean, he was digging graves in Massachusetts in the off season. He had all these stories about it, and he was more of a dive and hook guy, which I loved, right? And so, and then Greg Gross came in, who was just such a good hitter and such a mild-mannered guy. I loved Gigi. I loved him. And then, as we kind of were getting into the Phillies time when things were really turning around for us, and Jimmy Rollins and Utley and Howard and these guys showed up, Milt Thompson came in, and we were a pretty established club at that point. We most of the guys there kind of had a pretty good idea of what we were doing, and Milt was just a calming influence, for us. We kind of led ourselves at that point. We had gotten to that point. So, it just depends on the group and the guys. But yeah, I feel very fortunate to have had the guys that I've had. They all, shape you in some form or fashion.
Well, Pat, I faced mostly all those guys, which they were all tough outs. They were good contact hitters. They were good teachers of the game. You could tell. Hal McRae, of course, coming over with the Royals when I was there, he was the man in the locker room. You could just sit and talk hitting with him all day. And as a pitcher, I would just listen to him, how he spoke. And you said it. He was just a knowledgeable guy as a hitting coach. And then you come back here with the Giants and you have Hensley Mullins, and a different style of a hitting coach. But he was a positive influence to you, was he?
Sure, yeah. And again, he had a group of guys that at that time, now I can't speak for, the years before and the years after, but at that time in 2010, the roster was shaken up a bit. There was a lot of moving parts. And then once we solidified, we just had a bunch of guys who were hungry. And at the end, a lot of guys at the end, that just, had one more good run left in them, and we all banded together. And, Bam Bam was a part of that. And, it was a collective effort amongst the group. And, it's a lot what we're trying to do here. We're trying to win based on pitching and defense and timely hitting. And, you look back at 10, 12, and 14, those teams, those teams didn't slug. I think if you look back at OPS ranks in Major League Baseball in 10, 12, and 14, I think we were 14th, 16th, and 17th, somewhere in the middle there. And that's a recipe that works here, and so, look, it's a tough place to score runs, right? Obviously we can see that. Tough place to hit homers. So you need guys that are willing to do whatever it takes to put the ball in play, to pass the baton, to keep the line moving.
That voice you hear on the Extra Inning Postgame Show, my good friend, a hitting coach, Pat Burrell. Pat, Damon Minor, Oscar Bernard, and you. We talk about these hitting coaches that you've had in the past. What kind of influence do you guys try to make for this team? What kind of influence are you teaching this team? And especially contact. You just said it. It's hard to watch this team strike out so much. And all three of you are preparing these guys immensely every day. What kind of message do you give them?
Look, it's a collection of guys that all have different strengths, all have different weaknesses, which is normal, right? You got a wide array here, and we got some guys that just got here, right? So Willie is going through his first year and understanding the nuances of the ballpark and figuring out that, a lot of the balls that he probably hit in Milwaukee aren't going to have the same results here in San Francisco. And that's a transition for him. Devers, I think, comes over and you're seeing, what he's capable of. I think he's settled in nicely now, and in the second half here, and he's a force to be reckoned with. So you have a group of guys that all have different strengths, and what we're trying to do only is make these guys and help these guys have the most competitive at bats that they can.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this yesterday, but at this point in the season, your backs are kind of against the wall, right? And you got two choices, right? You lay down or you fight for it, and that's all we want to see is the fight. That's it.
Well, Pat,
And,
the biggest thing that everybody talks about, and you know it as well, is runners in scoring position, trying to get the guy in, trying to drive him in. The numbers just keep going against the Giants, and of course, it comes down to hitting a fastball. A lot of these guys are looking at secondary pitches and they miss the fastball or they pop up the fastball. What kind of changes do you guys do? Do you guys talk about it? What kind of different mental approach can you change with these guys?
Well, look, it's no secret that we've struggled against the fastball, the four seam in particular, for the majority of the year. Now, in an age where people are trying to lift the ball and hit homers, that doesn't really match up with the elite four seamers that we're seeing today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to be short. We have to be flat at the top. We have difficulties at the top of the zone, of course. And so that's all we do. I mean, that's all we work on in the cage is, four seams at the top. We have machines. We have, an abundance of machines. We have traject, we have spin ball, we have, the big hack machines. And we're trying to challenge these guys in the work so that maybe in the game it becomes a little easier for them. And it just hasn't translated in.
Couple more minutes with Pat Burrell on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. I always want to ask this. I see hitters after they come up with at bats, they go in and they look at the laptop. They're looking at their last at bats. What are they looking at, and what are they trying to adjust to after that?
It's a great question. I think about it all the time. I think, would we be in a better spot in this game if we didn't have all these technology in the dugout? If you look back, I'm not sure it's helping anybody, to be honest with you. But it is also, conditioned behavior, right? These guys have had this in college. These guys have come up with the minor leagues with this stuff.
Yeah.
Is it helping? I think it's debatable. What we prefer to do is to flush these at bats as fast as possible, get back on the rail, and watch to see how he's attacking the next hitter. I think that's an important part of the game. If you're trying to justify, your swing decisions and are balls in and are they off the plate and all this other stuff, that I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So, we're in a period of time where I think there's some change happening here with this ABS that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think a large part of it is to take away all the wasted time worrying about strikes and balls. Originally, I was so against it, but being in this role, I think it'll be helpful for our guys. Maybe there's less time, worrying about the umpire and the strike zone, and more time worrying about approach and mentality.
Last one for you, Pat. Moving forward, of course, we're getting through the month of August, going into September. What do you want these hitters to change? How do you want them to move forward?
Well, look, again, the bulk of our guys, the meat of the order, right? The Rafi, the Willies, the Chappies, they all have an individual story. Rafi, I think, is going to take off from here. I really do. Willie, I think he's going to come in next year and he's going to be the best version of himself. Chappie, with the hand injury, I think that's plagued him a little bit. He's just not doing the same things that he's done in the past, and we need to get him healthy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've seen some bright spots from guys like Casey Schmidt, who came up, and obviously, the big boy Eldridge is down in AAA.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asking me what we want to see down the stretch here, I just, I want guys to forget about their numbers, forget about everything that's happened from this, from the start of the year on, and just go out there and compete. compete to the best of your ability. There's a lot to be learned in these last 7 weeks here. So it's about effort for me. I want them to lay it all out there every night.
Pat, a pleasure always to talk to you. I thank you for your time today. And hey, let's continued success. Let's see if this can turn around for the next 6 weeks.
You got it, Bill. Thanks, buddy.
All right. That was Pat Burrell on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Logan Webb's pitch to Yandy Diaz, who's driven out towards right center field and deep. Chasing after it, Jung Hoo Lee, and he'll go all the way out into far right center field and make the catch. And he went down into a slide to catch it and gets up kind of slowly. I don't know if he jammed his knee into the dirt. Drew Gilbert is right next to Lee, checking on him, and Lee says he's all right. The wind was playing some tricks with that. And Jung Hoo, watching it, he ended up losing the ball. Why he got up slowly is the ball came out of his glove, and he pinched it in between his legs. He trapped it against his body and caught it by literally squeezing it in between his knees. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
All right, back on the Extra Inning postgame show. Great call right there by Dave Fleming, and what a fabulous catch by Jung Hoo Lee. I never saw a ball like that hit. I saw football players catch them between their knees, but never a baseball catch, especially going all the way out to right center field, triples alley, and pulling it in. And it was a great catch by Jung Hoo Lee. Giants win today 7-1. They break the 7-game losing streak. Logan Webb pitched a gem today for his 11th win. 7 innings, 3 hits. No runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, getting his 11th win. He's 11-9 now with a 3.19 earned run average. And the Giants hitters came to life. 5 2/3 innings. They were shut out. They had a 2-out rally. Base hits by Ramos, Devers, and Adames gets a walk. Dominic Smith comes up with a nice ball down the right field line and 3-run score on a base hit. And right after that, Christian Koss gets a nice base hit, and they score 4 in the 6th. They score 2 more in the 7th with back-to-back home runs by Drew Gilbert and Tyler Fitzgerald. They add 1 more in the 8th. Bailey gets a base hit, a wild pitch, and Drew Gilbert, again, gets a nice base hit. He goes 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. A good win for the Giants. They're now 60-64 on to San Diego for a 4-game series. First pitch tomorrow, 6:40. Robbie Ray, 9-6, with a 2.9 earned run average, will be on the hill. Coming up next, Thomas Gavello. Of course, he was born in Antioch. He grew up in Danville, went to Monte Vista High School. He went through the minor leagues. He got drafted by the Giants in 2022 and really performed well at Pacific University. And then he went on to play in Eugene in 2023, also in San Jose, jumped to Eugene and a couple other clubs in 2024. This year, had some time in Richmond, played really well in Richmond. He ended up hitting .261, but then he came up to Sacramento. And Dave Brundage, the manager, is just really gloating about him. So I got to sit down and talk to him. I love talking to some great young kids, and you're going to love Thomas Gavello because after I got done talking to him, a class act. And, of course, a local kid right here in Danville. So sit back. You're going to get an introduction to Thomas Gavello coming up next right here on KNBR, the sports leader. Did you ever think you could become a big league baseball player? Well, now you can. Come to Big League Coaching Fantasy Camp. It's January 11th through January 17th, 2026 in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Our host hotel is the Marriott Suites for the week. Come play with the great coaches, Joe Youngblood, Shooty Babbitt, Tim Flannery, Scott Garrelts, Mark Davis. Go to bigleaguecoaching.org and sign up today. Become a big leaguer.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. I'm excited for Giants fans to get to know my guest today. He grew up in Danville. He was born in Antioch. Let's bring in Thomas Gavello. Thomas, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much. You're now in Sacramento playing for the River Cats. You moved up in the organization pretty rapidly. Tell me a little bit about your days in Sacramento.
It's been great. Being close to family has been awesome. I have my brother living out in Stockton. It's been fun having my nephew coming out to games, like in college. You know, my parents are coming out pretty frequently too, which has been great. It's been awesome so far.
Well, let's go back in time. You were born in Antioch. You grew up in Danville. You went to Monte Vista High School. Any other sports, baseball that you played?
Not really. I mean, I played basketball for a year when I was in middle school, but it's been strictly baseball, really.
Well, growing up in Danville, a Giants fan, an A's fan, it's okay. You can tell us the truth.
I grew up an A's fan. My grandma lives out in Castro Valley. My dad grew up out there. So the A's were about 20 minutes from my house. So growing up there, definitely went to some Giants games as well. But I grew up an Oakland A's fan, but now a good excuse to be a Giants fan.
Well, you were a big Dustin Pedroia fan. You loved him. You idolized him. Tell me a little bit about why.
Growing up, one of my really good buddies was a big Red Sox fan, so always watching games. Went out to Boston with him, I think when I was about 7. But just really, being an infielder, being a second baseman, kind of just idolizing that position. I think, kind of a shorter guy, a little bit of fire in him. Just that's kind of what ignited that into me. Just I love watching him play.
Thomas, growing up, middle infield, now you're playing some third base. Is there a position that's more acceptable to you, or is it mostly anywhere in the infield?
It's mostly anywhere. Like you said, I grew up in the infield. Got drafted as a catcher. That was kind of like the first introduction to that. And then when I was out in Richmond, got to play a little bit of outfield as well. But honestly, anywhere has been fun so far.
Well, after Monte Vista, you ended up being a Pacific Tiger college up north, and a good college, a solid baseball program. Why did you choose Pacific?
I chose Pacific. It was close to home. It was about an hour. My brother lived about 2 minutes down the street, so I think my nephew at the time was 4 or 5. But just growing up, having my nephew at the games, him kind of just growing up around the corner, watching me play and being able to kind of pass that along to family was one of the main things. Also, just going to a good school, good classes, good degree. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, when you were 20 years old, 2021, what a solid year you had. Pacific hitting 335, 10 home runs, 12 doubles. Everything was working well. 50 games you played. Tell me about that season and how it all clicked.
I mean, that was the first season after COVID. My
Hmm.
freshman year is when COVID hit, so we really didn't get to have a full season. So I think we had all of our preseason games at that time, and right before conference started, that's when everything got canceled. Thankfully, was able to go play summer ball out in Gary, Nebraska, so I was able to get some games in that way, and had a really great time. Was really excited to come back and was able to solidify a starting position. And yeah, that was like the first true full season, and it was just a lot of fun. There wasn't really much pressure of the draft or the first collegiate season. So it was just going. It was about just going out, having fun with all the guys, and just playing ball.
Thomas Gavello joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Of course, he's wearing that Sacramento River Cat uniform, playing for the River Cats. In 2022, you got drafted round 13, 406 pick overall. Excited to go to the Giants? Did you know much about the Giants organization, only to watch them briefly?
I was very excited. I was talking to Keith Snyder a little bit throughout those days, but they kind of flew under the radar a little bit. But when my agent had called me and said, the Giants are going to pick you up, it was very exciting. Very exciting to have, all the affiliates on the West Coast, an exception to Richmond, obviously, but just being close to home, it's been very, very fun so far.
Yeah, your parents and family had to be excited just as well as you did because you're coming home. You're staying here with the San Francisco Giants. Once you signed that pro contract, how excited were you to go to rookie ball?
Oh, it was great. Just experiencing Arizona for the first couple months, and then that following season being out in San Jose. I think my dad came out to at least 4 of the games every week, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, in 2023, you played in Eugene as well as in San Jose. Now the competition kind of moves up a little bit. You play in San Jose,
hmm
and now you go up to Eugene. As a hitter, what did you see different from the pitchers?
I mean, they were definitely mixing a lot more. They knew what your strengths and weaknesses were. They weren't scared of throwing backwards a little bit, and pitching to their strengths as well. So it was kind of like picking and choosing your battles, knowing what your weaknesses are and knowing what their strengths are. Really solidifying an approach. Definitely. definitely was a big one for me.
In 2025, you go to the Eastern League. You're playing with the Richmond Flying Squirrels, a different kind of ballpark. I ended up playing in the Diamond. It's a beautiful ballpark. Of course, they're
Oh
getting
yeah,
a new
it's
Diamond
beautiful.
next year. How did you like Double A? A lot different road trips, a lot of bus trips. But what did you think of the Eastern League?
I loved it. It was great. I loved kind of being out of the rain a little bit. Granted, there was a lot of humidity, but we had some rain here and there. Think kind of towards the end of my time there, it started getting pretty hot, but I loved it. It was a great time. The fans out there were great. The field was amazing. It was definitely a step up, and yeah, it was a really good time.
Thomas Gavello joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. If you want to follow him on X, it's at TGA Vello, VELLO, number 13. So it's a cool little site that you put up there. You do tweet a little bit here and there. But now you move up to Sacramento. Excited to move up to AAA? How did they tell you you're moving up?
One of the days in Double A, Pelfrey called me into his office, and at the time, I think I was playing maybe maybe 4 games a week, two kind of sprinkled here and there. And we had a meeting earlier that day, so he asked me, how'd the meeting go and what I thought about it, and he wanted me to get in there a little bit more, but you know, some calls here and there. Have just said, hey, I wish I could get you in there every day, make the most of your opportunities, take advantage of the time that you have off, and take that to Sacramento. And I was like, what? What are you getting at here? So he said they're heading out to Sacramento, and left the next morning. And yeah, it was a trip, but I was very grateful to receive that opportunity.
Boy, the trip from the East Coast to the West Coast, that flight had to have been quick. You were probably wondering, get me there, get me there. I want to get to
Yeah,
Sacramento as
exactly.
fast as I can. And
Yeah, let me get
you've been
home.
dynamic in AAA. 25 games, 82 at bats, 28 hits, four doubles, a triple, four home runs, 22 RBIs, 341 batting average. You're playing third base now at Sacramento. Tell me what you've been doing to prepare for these at bats.
It's the pitching coaches out here do a really good job of breaking down. We have our meetings every Tuesday, and those relationships have been really good. I think the first couple weeks, getting to know PJ and Butch, and kind of them knowing about me and my swing and my approaches, is just kind of just dialing down the simplicity of things. And I think those meetings are very important. And, the less that I can get more in depth about all the technology and whatnot, and just really simplifying what the pitcher's got, and, what I've been struggling with lately has been very helpful.
Well, you've had a few managers through the Giants organization. Now you have Dave Brundage. Brundy's a good friend of mine, a very experienced manager, very knowledgeable manager. What have you thought about him so far?
He's been great. It's been really fun to play for him so far, and all the other the coaching staff out here has been wonderful. It's been a real treat. So I'm really excited to see what the rest of the season holds for all of us.
Thomas Gavello joining me in a few more minutes on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Now the fun questions come. What do you do as a hobby when you walk away from the ballpark? What's something you like to do?
Uh, well, during the off season, I have a cabin up kind of by Yosemite, so I like taking out some time over there to go into the park a little bit. We have a lake out there, so just being able to enjoy nature a little bit, go on some hikes, go fishing a little bit. Um, but mainly just, reuniting with family a little bit. I have a brother and sister out in Colorado, so I like heading out there and, visiting with them, seeing my other nephew out there. But just a lot of family time.
That's excellent. What about music, Thomas? What do you listen to on your headphones? What's something you go to?
Definitely a little bit of reggae here and there. I got some hip hop, some alternative, a little bit of rock. But yeah, I think reggae is number one for me.
Is that something you prepare for right before you go in a game? You got your uniform on, you're sitting at your locker, you put your headphones on. What's a go-to song?
Uh, Go-to song, I'd probably say "Welcome to Jamrock."
Okay.
But before the games, it's pretty much just hanging out with all the guys and just enjoying, the time in the clubhouse, and getting ready for the game.
Now, of course, growing up in Danville, what's a favorite food you go to? What's a go-to food that you said, hey, this is what I want to eat before a game?
Oh, we have a lot of good Italian restaurants
There you go.
out in Danville. So we have La Conda Ravello is pretty good. We have Not Italian, but Forbes Mill out there is pretty good. And I got to throw out Piatti's as well. That's a pretty good spot.
Last thing for you, Thomas, when you go to the off season, you say you go to your cabin. When do you start working out? When do you start thinking about baseball for the following year?
Oh, it's been the past couple years, it's been trying to figure out when to get back into it. I think the first year I took a couple weeks off and felt like I wasn't doing anything, so I got into it pretty quick. But this last off season kind of solidified a good plan. Took a couple weeks to a month of kind of just enjoying time with family and letting the body recover a little bit. And then when November hits, that's when we're getting after it.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much for your time. Continued success in Sacramento, and Giants fans will definitely keep an eye on you, especially coming from Danville.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That was Thomas Gavello on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
The pitch. That one is hit high and deep to left by Fitzgerald. Gone into the bleachers. Giants go back-to-back and make it 6-0. That was a long time coming for Tyler. Just like for Gilbert, that had to feel great.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show as we close out a Sunday. Giants win today. They break that 7-game losing streak. They win 7-1 at Oracle Park. They're now 60-64 on to San Diego for a 4-game series in San Diego. Robbie Ray takes the hill tomorrow. First pitch right here at 6:40. I want to thank my two guests today, Pat Burrell, a hitting coach, and, of course, Thomas Gavello. Keep his name in your mind because he's a good ball player, and what a nice interview I had with that young man. So real happy to bring him on to Giants fans. So the Giants now go on to a 7-game road trip, 4 in San Diego, 3 in Milwaukee. I'll be doing the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday post-game shows, so Sports Phone KNBR on Friday and Extra Inning post-game shows next Saturday and Sunday. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Haar, for running the show, and thank you, Giants fans, for the phone calls and supporting the Extra Inning post-game show. For Bill Laskey, be safe, be well, have a great week. I'll talk to you next Friday. More coming up right here on KNBR.